The other thing I would say is I think I'm just personally sensitive to a lot of violence. And I've noticed that over the years, I've become less and less sensitive to violence. Please, this is something that I want to talk about as a separate video altogether, but I feel like we are way too desensitized to violence. I know that there was a lot of violence, a lot of bloodshed in the Bible. I know. But like I was saying before about how a show affects somebody's mind versus how a book affects somebody's mind. If I may again, if I may approach the bench, Lord. If I may speak, my Lord. We're too desensitized to violence. You know, one thing I've noticed in a lot of action movies is that there are times when the director will purposefully not show some characters that are getting killed, not because they're afraid or anything like that, but because they're in such a sensitive place in the story or in the action sequence that it does something to your brain. I don't know, it just affects you differently when you see them die. Even if they're just a nameless, pretty much faceless mobster getting killed in a car chase. There are some car chases that don't show some certain people involved in the car chase, even though we know that they died. In fact, I would encourage you, if you watch the Thunderbolts, I noticed that in that movie, if you watch the Thunderbolts, go ahead and watch when Bucky shows up. Take note who you see actually get killed and obliterated, who you see and who you don't see. Violence affects us. It definitely does. And it reminds me of something that I heard when people were talking more about gun violence a couple of years ago. There was apparently some older gentleman that was talking about how in his day, kids would go to school with firearms to protect themselves from animals. But never once did they ever have an incident where a child fired at another child or at an adult. And I think that part of that possibly could be because there was a sacredness, there was a value that was put on human life that we've lost over time by constantly feeding our eyes scenes of just wiping people out and not having any consequences. Just the honor for human life, period. A holy fear for human life. Who are you to take away somebody else's life? You know what I mean? Just generally, I feel like we have been very much desensitized to the sacredness of human life. So if I may just pinch that in as well, please, I would just say, let's just be careful. All this violence on TV, you know? So that's just my take. So if you have not watched House of David, I promise you, you have to watch it. It is an excellent, excellent, excellent series. Excellence in storytelling, excellence in production, excellence in acting, excellence in music, excellence, excellence, excellence. I loved it, and you will too. So that's all from me today, and I will see you next time in a new video. Bye!